Okay, so today we will discuss another new physical parameter. Before that, let us compare again the rotational motion with translational motion of a rigid body. If this is that rigid body and there is it's in the center of mass and it is moving with constant velocity v. This is pure translation motion. We have different parameters and equations of motion for this translation motion, and this is that rigid body and this is that fixed axis A, B, and it is rotating with along this axis, and the total mass is capital M, and this is pure rotational motion. Here this is this linear velocity, this is angular velocity. So let us compare this pure translation motion with pure rotational motion. So we have here that displacement is linear displacement, and we have this displacement which is represented either by S, or when we talk about very smaller displacement, then we represent this as a ds, and further using that integration we get S. And here that displacement is angular displacement, and it is represented by theta. And for small angular displacement we have taken this as d theta, and by integrating we can get that the complete displacement of that rotating body. So this is the first parameter. Second, when we talk about that velocity, so we have this is that linear velocity, and it is represented by v, and here there is angular velocity, and this is represented by omega, and we have derived this relation between this v and omega as v is equal to omega r in form of scalar. In the form of vector we have this r cross omega, so this v is equal to r cross omega. And the direction of this omega, this is always toward the direction of the axis. क्या हो रहा है? And then third, when we talk about the force, then that force is represented by F, and the analogous of this force in the rotational motion, that is here as a torque. Torque is the analogous of force. And then fourth, we have to discuss about momentum, that is linear momentum. So this is that momentum, it is represented at P, it is equal to mass multiplied by V. So here this is angular momentum, and this angular momentum, it is represented by L, and it is equal to R cross P. So this is R cross P. In terms of that, this is P is equal to mass multiplied by V. So here this L, it is equal to R cross P. And next one is what we have discussed, that this relation from second law of motion, we have this force is equal to rate of change of momentum. Then we have also discussed here this the analogous of force is torque. So torque, it is equal to rate of change of momentum. And we have different equations of motion, three equations of motion used in translation motion, and similar to that we have different equations of motion in rotational motion. One parameter that is remaining here to compare is the mass. So here in this case, the mass, it is represented by m, and now we will search that physical parameter analogous to mass in a rotational motion. And that analogous to mass is here, that is moment of inertia, and moment of inertia, and this is I. Okay, so how can we say this moment of inertia I is analogous to mass of this translation motion? Here this that momentum P is equal to mass multiplied by V. Here this linear momentum L is equal to R cross P, and L can be also written as equal to L is equal to, in place of mass, this is that L is equal to, in place of mass one can write this I, and in place of V here this is omega in rotational motion. So L is equivalent to I multiplied by omega, and I think we have derived this relation for rotational motion also. So I is equivalent to L is equivalent to I multiplied by omega we have derived. So we can say this mass can be compared with I in terms of analogous and in rotational motion. Second, we can also calculate that kinetic energy, and that kinetic energy in this translation motion is this kinetic energy. Kinetic energy in translation motion, that is Ek is equivalent to half mv square. So in terms of this can be written as equal to, if we take, if this v is taken as equivalent to omega multiplied by r to convert into to transform into rotational motion, this then Ek it is equivalent to half mass multiplied by v is omega r, and this is equal to half mr square multiplied by omega square. And this mr square, this is represented by that another physical term, that is moment of inertia. This is I omega square, and now this Ek, this is now known as rotational kinetic energy. Rotational kinetic energy. This is for the rotating body which is in rotation. So this is linear kinetic energy. Linear kinetic energy is half mv square, and rotational kinetic energy is equivalent to half I omega square. So when we compare again this kinetic energy with rotational kinetic energy, then this velocity is proved as this omega is analogous to v. We can compare v is to omega. Then this mass, it is replaced by I. That's why we can say this moment of inertia, this new physical parameter, this is analogous of mass of that rotational motion and translation motion. So first of all, this moment of inertia, So this moment of inertia, it is represented by I. Mathematically, it is defined as mass multiplied by r square. So this depends on distribution of mass and also the distance. So mathematically, this I is equivalent to mr square. Generally, this is the general equation. So this depends on that distribution of mass in that rigid body, and also that distance of that. If we think about that center of mass of that rigid body, then distance of that center of mass from the axis. So this is new physical parameter. So we can get some units and dimension. So the unit of I is, its mass is kg meter square, and the dimension of I is, this is m, and this is L square, and t. So if this is that body, and that center of mass is somewhere here, then, and this is r, and the total mass is m, m, then we can get this relation. So that r is actually the perpendicular distance from the axis. This is the started distance or perpendicular distance of that axis to the center of mass. And this physical quantity is scalar or vector. This is one wonderful question. This moment of inertia is a scalar or vector. We will discuss in the next lecture after using some theorems. Okay. So sometimes in some books, some students just give the answer. It is scalar. Some are telling that this is vector. But what is this? We will discuss in coming lectures. And we will prove why this is the scalar or why that is vector, or other than this is scalar or vector. And for n-body particle or a rigid body of n particles. So we'll use that term of summation. So I is equivalent to summation of MIRI square. So Mi is that different mass of particles. So this is M1, M2, M3, and the position of this R1, R2, R3. So that moment of inertia is the sum of the moment of inertia of all individual particles. So this is I is equivalent to 1 to n. And for a rigid body of uniformly distributed mass. So if we are taking one rigid body in which that mass is distributed uniformly, means all the particles having mass equal to m, then we just take one small segment, that is dm, a small part, that dm, that is small segment, and we integrate this. So this I, it is equal to integration of dm multiplied by r square. So this, its position is its normal position is r, then to integration of dm r square. Okay, so when we take that discrete body where that mass is non-uniformly distributed with m1, m2, m3, then that total moment of inertia is equal to sum of moment of inertia of individual particles. So that is MIRI square. But when we take one uniform body where mass is distributed uniformly, one can say that all particles are identical, having that identical mass m. Then we take that small segment of that mass, that is dm. Previously we have used this type of concept also. So this dm, this is that small part which is at the position of r, that perpendicular distance from the axis is r. Then we can take I is equivalent to integration of dm r square. Okay, so in order to calculate that moment of inertia of any shape of a body, what we have to do, we have to calculate this dm and then integrate from that lower limit to upper limit, and we have to also take that r, that the perpendicular distance of that segment. Okay, so now let us take some examples of some bodies and try to calculate that moment of inertia. So first of all, two body system. So we have this, this is one body, this is another body, and the distance of this body, this is let's say at the distance of d, and this is center of mass, and let's say this is m1 and this is m2, it's rotating like this. We have to calculate that moment of inertia of this system. So this is two body system. So as far as that the definition of moment of inertia is concerned, this I, it is equivalent to, if this distance is, this is r1 and this is r2, this is r2, this is r1, then this will be m1 r1 square plus m2 r2 square. And from the concept of center of mass, if we take this, its coordinate is 0, 0, this is at the origin, and if this is at 0x, 0d, then we have calculated that r1 and r2. That distance, this distance and this distance, and here this r1, it is equal to m1, what was that, m2d by m1 plus m2, and r2 is equal to m1d by m1 plus m2. If you remember, we have this calculation when we are talking about center of mass. So during the center of mass, this r1 is equal to m2d by m1 m2. When we consider this this first body is situated at origin, the it's not situated at origin, then what was that? That xcm, that was equivalent to m1 x1 plus m2 x2 by this m1 plus m2. This was that formula. We have taken this x1 is equivalent to 0. We have taken this x1 is equivalent to 0. Then what is that? This is m2 x2 m1 plus m2, and x2 is what? This is d. Okay, so this is the formula. So this is that R1 is equivalent to m2d plus m1, and this R2 can be calculated as equivalent to that total d minus this x1. We did this. Okay, so let us put this value here. So I is equal to m1 m2d by m1 plus m2 square plus m2, this is m1d by m1 plus m2 square. Then this is equal to so this is m1 m2 can be taken as common, and also that d square. So and here there will be m2, here there will be m1 by m1 plus m2 square. Was it? And we can cancel this m1 square, so one will have this m1 m2 d square by m1 plus m2. This is moment of inertia of the system of two particles. Okay, clear? So this R1 and R2, by putting this we can get this. Okay, now let us take the second system, that is a ring, a circular ring. So this is that circular ring. Circular ring of radius r and mass m. So, and it is this is the axis, and this ring is moving like this. Its radius is r. So this ring is rotating around that axis, and axis is passing from its origin, its center. And again, that moment of inertia I, because this mass is distributed uniformly in the ring, its density is identical. So I is equal to mass integration of dm multiplied by r square. R is constant. Okay, and let's take that small segment. This is that dm. That small part is dm. So that moment of inertia I is equivalent to dm r square. When we integrate this dm uniformly to that, so this is r is constant, so r square integration of dm, and this integration of dm can be taken as equivalent to m. So this moment of inertia is equivalent to mi square, mr square for a circular ring of radius r. Just total mass is m. So now in place of this ring we take one circular disc. When we take circular disc of radius r and mass m, means the mass is uniformly distributed in this complete disc. Completely, it is uniformly distributed. Then we take one strip of this is that strip of radius r, small r, and this is that radius r, and this is that small part. This thickness is dr. And that segment, this is that this is dm. So that mass is uniformly distributed. So first of all we have to calculate that density type terms. Previously we have used the same concept. When that mass is distributed, then we talk about that density, and we have divided that density in different parts. That linear density, surface density, as well as volume density. So here the mass is distributed over that surface, means that we will take total density, that is mass upon area. So areal density we will take. So that surface density, and we have I think used that density as sigma. Sigma. So this sigma is equivalent to the total mass m, and the area of this circular disc will be equal to pi r square. Is it? So this is mass of sigma is equivalent to mass upon this. Okay. Now we will calculate the area of this this strip. We have to calculate the area of this strip. Then that is equivalent to 2 pi r, this parameter, and the thickness is dr. So area of strip is dA, and that is equal to, that parameter is equivalent to 2 pi r. So this is 2 pi r, and thickness is dr. So this is equal to dr. Okay. So dm is equal to sigma multiplied by dA. This is not new. We did in one of the lecture the same practice. So what we do, we just take that density. Here we are using surface density, and then we calculate that area of that particular part. So here we are taking this as a strip of thickness dr. Then total parameter is equal to 2 pi r. Far is the radius, and the thickness is dr. So that total area of this strip, this total area, that will be equal to dA is equal to 2 pi r multiplied by dr. So this dm is equal to sigma multiplied by dA. Now we will put that value. So we will have this m upon pi r square 2 pi r multiplied by dr. Okay, clear? So pi can be cancelled. So this is 2m r dr by r square. This is A. Then now I is equal to integration of dm r square Okay, so this dm is distributed at the distance of r. Remember this. Why we are taking r square? Why not capital R square? Capital R is the total radius of this disc. But we are thinking about, we're just talking about this strip. And the distance of this mass, that is at the distance r. That's why this is integrated as dm multiplied by r square. Now I will put the value of dm here and integrate from the limit 0 to capital R. Now let's perform this integration. So it is equal to dm is equal to this. So this is 2m r dr by r square multiplied by r square from 0 to r. Now these are the constant. So the constant value is 2m by r square. This is constant from 0 to r. And now this is r cube dr. And again I will use that formula, that x to the power n dx, this is equal to x to the power n plus 1 by n plus 1. We will use this formula. So 1 power, there we work enhancement of 1 power. This is 2m by r square, and this is r to the power 4 by 4 from 0 to r. Okay, so when we put this r, this is equal to 2m by r square, and this is r to the power 4 by 4 minus 0 by putting the limit. Then r square can be cancelled here, 2 can be cancelled here, and this is equivalent to half m r square. Okay, so when we take that circular ring, then its moment of inertia is mr square. But when we take as a disc, then its moment of inertia is half of that moment of inertia of circular ring, that is half mr square. Now we take a rod should start from that example, but okay. So if this is a rod of length L, mass is M, axis is somewhere here. This is that axis. This rod is rotating along this axis. So we will take one strip somewhere here. That thickness is dx at the distance x. So a rod of length L and mass M. So here that is one dimensional case. So we will calculate that linear density. So the linear density we have taken as lambda. This is equivalent to mass by L. Okay, so the mass of this small segment dx we can calculate. I think so. Mass of small segment dx, that is dm, it is equal to this dx multiplied by lambda, and this is equal to m dx by L. Okay, so mass per unit length we have taken, and then just by multiplying that length term dx, we can get that dm. So the mass of this part, this is dm, and it is positioned at x. So the moment of inertia about its axis of rotation, this dm di, or I is equal to integration of dm multiplied by x square, because this dm is at the position of x. So the mass is dm, position is x. Now we will put this dm from here. So this is mass dx by L x square from 0 to L. Limit will be from, if this is taken as 0 and this is L, then the limit will be from 0 to L. Now you can integrate this. So this is m by L, the integration of 0 to L x square dx. Again, by using the same formula, we can get this I is equal to m by L x cubed by 3 from 0 to L. One order enhancement in the power. So this is m by L cubed by 3 minus 0. So this is 1 by 3 ml square. So when axis is somewhere here at the end of that rod, and what will happen if axis is in place of this? If the axis is at the center, this is that axis. When the axis is here, means mass is divided into two parts. This is m by 2 on the right hand side and m by 2 at the left hand side, as well as length is divided into two parts. One length here, this length is L by 2, and here the length is L by 2. Means mass is divided into two parts, m by 2, and length is divided as L by 2 and L by 2. So in place of m, we can put m by 2, and in place of L, we have to put L by 2 if axis is at the center. So the case is when the axis is at the center, when the axis of rotation is at the center of rod, then moment of inertia I is equal to 1 by 3. In place of m, I will put m by 2 because mass is divided into part. This is m by 2, and length is again substitute L by 2 square, and this is 1 by 3 ml square by what will happen? Diagonal 24. It is two parts, so we have to multiply this by 2 also. Because this is combination of two systems. This is 1, this is 1. So we will take the plus with plus sign. So this plus this. So that will be equal to ml square by 12. Because this is combination of two systems. So plus this plus this. So individual equal to ml square by 24 when we multiply to this. So what we are observing here, that moment of inertia, this depends on the distribution of mass as well as the position of that mass at the distance from the axis of rotation, as well as it also depends on the position of axis. When we are putting this axis somewhere here, then the moment of inertia was equal to 1 by 3 ml square. When we put that axis at the center of this rod, its moment of inertia reduced 1 by 4 times 1 by 3 ml square. It is reduced to 1 by 4 times that the moment of inertia of the first case. Okay, so it also depends on the position of axis, and we will see the details and some more examples in the next class. Thank you.